Today is Wednesday, November 3rd, and this is William Michael of the Classical Libetal Arts Academy. I'd like to share a few announcements and provide some explanations for how I'm handling different needs of students in the Classical Libetal Arts Academy. I'd like to explain what's available to parents with students in the Academy. And I'd like to also provide some explanation for why I am doing things the way that I'm doing them. As you likely know, I'm constantly working to find ways to make the restoration of classical Catholic education free. As of today, the entire curriculum, over 100 courses that we're restoring, are available at no cost to students on the Academy website. And we're building an online course system, which is called a learning management system. And this system that we're building can be used by schools. It's actually the same exact type of system that modern schools and universities use for all of their online courses. And we're building this system and making it available to schools for free. So schools that want to restore the classical Catholic curriculum and are willing to use our online course system can do so in their schools for free, which is, if you work in education, is just an incredible opportunity for schools. Having made the course content and continuing to make the course content free, we'd like to add services that are either free or extremely affordable by the way that we make them available. Many of the things that modern schools and teachers do, they do just because it's convenient for them or because it's a good way for them to make money. But there really aren't good plans for what they do. What they do isn't effective. It's simply convenient and profitable. A good example of this is the use of Zoom meetings for schools. I've been asked for 2 years now to make use of Zoom and offer live classes and video-based tutoring with students, and I've continued to experiment with it and think through what could be done with it. But I just have to say, this idea of face-to-face video meetings makes sense for a modern school where there's so little content being studied. But for my courses, where there's so much content being studied, it just makes no sense. In the classical Catholic curriculum, the teacher running the class is not the source of the information. The teacher is not the one who determines what's to be studied and what's not to be studied. The teacher doesn't determine what will be covered today and what won't be covered today, or what will be on the test and what won't be on the test. The source of the information for the courses and lessons of the classical Catholic curriculum is the original source texts written by the wise men who were honored in history as the masters of those subjects. And so, for example, when I open one of Aristotle's books for one of my courses, I don't determine what we talk about and what we skip. And this is actually how not necessarily false, but phony teachers get away with faking their learning, is that they don't present themselves to the students as accountable to every line of the texts that they claim to teach. Where I believe that the text is the source of the class material, both the teacher and the students are accountable to the content of the text. And if a teacher can't explain every line in the book, he has to either admit that when he gets to it and he tells the students that he doesn't know what this line actually means, or he has to stop pretending that he's a teacher. But what he cannot do is simply choose to skip parts of the books so that he can continue to pretend that he knows everything, even when he comes to passages where he knows he doesn't understand what's being explained. And so to think about having a Zoom meeting where students stare at my face rather than at the source text, for me makes no sense. I want my students looking at their books. I want them reading the texts that need to be studied. And that's why even when I make tutorial videos, I like to actually make the video of the text and simply marking and making notes as students continue focusing on the text. I've made some recorded videos in the past where I'm on camera, and while I get good feedback for those videos, I just don't really believe that they're all that helpful. They may provide some activity, they may be better than nothing, but I really don't think that that's what students need to be most effectively helped. There's popular talk in our generation about learning styles. And one thing that we have to understand is that while it may be cute to talk about different children or different adults even having different learning styles, is that when we consider the volume of material that needs to be studied in the classical Catholic curriculum, if you're going to handcuff yourself to a certain learning style, you may be forced to acknowledge the reality that you cannot study the classical Catholic curriculum because it cannot be presented in a certain way to a certain learning style. Real students who are going to accomplish the amount and quality of work that needs to be accomplished in the classical Catholic curriculum are going to have to learn to deal with text directly, because other media are simply not sustainable. And that's why I like to keep my students' eyes focused on the texts. I like to help them in the texts. I like to help them read and study and understand line after line in the original texts. And so all that goes to say that I just don't find these modern face-to-face teacher-on-camera Zoom meetings to be effective when the goals of education are the goals that we have in classical Catholic education. I'm not interested in being honored as a teacher. I'm not interested in being a celebrity on camera. I'm interested in helping the next generation of students learn the classical liberal arts, classical philosophy, and Catholic theology. And to do that, they have to study the master texts. Now, I'm going to offer a number of different services, some paid, some free, and I'd like to introduce them in this talk and explain them a little bit so parents can understand and students can understand what's available and why. First of all, I believe that a gifted student who's motivated simply needs access to carefully selected study materials. And he needs quality assessments that allow him to demonstrate his mastery of those materials. The only person or persons who can prepare those assessments are people who have already studied those materials. That's one of the reasons why schools don't teach difficult subjects, is because the teachers would not be able to make assessments for them. So, I have students who are gifted and motivated and simply need the materials and assessments prepared for them. And those students don't need very much help. I'll talk to them occasionally. They'll be stuck on something, and as soon as I help them over that obstacle that is in front of them, I may not hear from them again for months as they continue studying and progressing effectively on their own. The rest of the students, though, they have all different kinds of obstacles that I'd like to help them overcome, as long as they're willing. And these services are intended for those students. So first of all, a free service that I'm going to begin offering, I'm going to try to start offering it this evening, so November 3rd, is an evening chat room that's open to all students. It'll be a group chat room. And students will be welcome to join me in this text-based chat room with the assumption that they're spending their evenings studying and may simply like to have access to an online chat group where they can post questions, talk about their studies, get some help when they need it, and so on. And it can just be a source of assistance for them any evening that they're studying. I would always be available in this chat room. It would cost nothing to participate in it, and students would be encouraged to study in the evenings and make use of this free tutoring support. That's service number 1, and I'll be posting a link in the description of this video and on the website so that kids can connect to that once it's ready. Secondly, and more importantly, I'm available all day, all night, every day except the Lord's Day for tutoring of individual students. And I'd like to focus on live chat tutoring. I've been tutoring students for over 20 years. I've had sit-down meetings with students for tutoring. I've tutored students in my classrooms after school. I've tutored students in libraries. I've tutored students at bookstores, coffee shops. I've tutored students in their own homes, at their dining room tables. I've tutored students online using videos. I've tutored students online using text chat. I've tutored students by phone. I've tutored students in every possible arrangement, using every possible means. And over the years, what I've found is that the most effective means of tutoring is by live chat, by simple text chat. I don't mean chatting on a phone. I mean in a live chat type software setting, platform, like that which is on the Academy website, which we use. There's no more effective means of tutoring than using live chat, and there's a number of reasons why. First of all, because Our studies in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy are always focused on texts, and we want to be able to keep focused on those texts. We can't do that when we're staring at each other face to face. And so that makes face-to-face video meetings, even face-to-face in-person meetings, quite pointless. We want to be able to stay focused on the texts. And what's nice about live chat tutoring is that I can share the text with a student and we simply chat around it. It's very effective. It also allows me to share documents, to share links, and so on. Most video chats, most face-to-face chats, most phone calls end up dependent on emailing a link or a file or a document of some kind. You get through all of that talking only to need text in the end. I'd prefer just to skip that and stay with the text. That's the first benefit of text tutoring. The second benefit is that it's convenient for everyone. You don't need to be camera ready. The house doesn't need to be quiet. You don't need to be in a private place. Anywhere you have your laptop or your tablet, you can have a tutoring meeting with text chat. And everything around you and behind you and in your environment is private. It's good for that reason. It's good for students for that reason. It's also good for me for that reason. I can be available anytime, anywhere for students, and that's not possible through video chat. Third, it allows us to do other things at the same time. I'm obviously very busy, and I really can't afford to spend much time working with individual students because I have work to do that affects all of my students. That's another reason why I really don't like video chat. Video chat allows me to do only one thing at a time, and in order to do that, I have to make up for it by charging a significant tutoring fee, because that time has to be provided for and other work has to get done. So if I'm going to sit one-on-one in a video meeting with a student, that's all that I can do for that hour. And when you consider the amount of work and tasks that I could do in that hour, it's a very costly hour. And I don't think that that's a realistic expectation of parents or students. Live chat tutoring allows me to keep working in the background as students and I go back and forth in our text chats. It also allows me to serve a number of students at the same time. While one student is reading and typing, I can get back to another student, and I can juggle 2 or 3 students at a time with live chat tutoring. And therefore, it makes tutoring available much more affordably for Catholic families. Instead of having to charge $40 or $50 an hour to cover the cost of tutoring so that I can pay people to work while I'm busy, I can charge only $10 for an hour tutoring session on live chat and try to get a couple lined up together to cover my hourly expenses. It makes tutoring much more affordable for many more people and benefits the student body much more than video chat would, since it would be limited only to students whose parents could afford a significant amount of money for hourly tutoring. So there are many benefits to live chat tutoring, and that's why I prefer it. Live chat tutoring is now available anytime, any day, as I said, except Saturday evenings and Sunday mornings and afternoons, so that I can take some time off to focus on worship on the Lord's Day. But outside of that, I'm just going to be available anytime that tutoring is desired. I've set the booking system on the website gives me a 2-hour notice, so no tutoring can be arranged within 2 hours. So anytime a parent wants tutoring, I get a 2-hour notice and I'll be there. Live chat tutoring anytime, any day for students anywhere in the world. And it benefits all of our students overseas who usually would get shut out of any kind of live online class or meeting like that. This gives them the same access to help that anyone in the United States would have. And I'd like to make that possible because over time, our international student body is growing larger and larger, and I'd like to make sure that they always have support, because the classical liberal arts, unlike other school programs, the Classical Liberal Arts Academy's curriculum is applicable and relevant everywhere in the world. It's not an American school program. And so I have to take into consideration that while at present the student body is predominantly American, that's definitely changing. This month we've had enrollments from the Philippines, South Africa, the United Kingdom, several countries in Europe, a few countries in South America, New Zealand. So the international interest in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy is growing, and I'd like to make sure that they have access to help when they need it. And so I'm going to be focusing on and recommending live chat tutoring for almost all student needs. And I think parents will be surprised to find that once the kids get used to that, it is really efficient and convenient for everyone and affordable for parents. A kid would do a lot better to have 5 one-hour live chat tutoring sessions than 1 video meeting for an hour. I'd also like to make it clear that I'm not strict with these times, in the sense that if I have a 1-hour tutoring meeting with a student and we're in the midst of a conversation and we're making some progress and our time runs out, I'm not going to stop the meeting just to spite everyone. The tutoring sessions provide for an hour of time, but if we're having a productive session and we run past that time, we're just going to keep working. And so parents and students don't need to worry about that. So I'm going to recommend live chat tutoring for anyone who needs help. And students do need help. There are so many students struggling because they need some attention so that issues or concepts that they are not understanding can be diagnosed and dealt with. I posted a discussion I had this week with a student in a tutoring chat who was struggling with algebra. And I told this student to contact me on live chat, and we would discuss it because I wanted to help the student. The student was struggling in algebra, and as we got into the discussion, I was able to quickly find that the problems that the student was having, the actual causes of the student's problems, were issues in the first 2 lessons of algebra. One was the definition that the student failed to learn well or didn't understand, and that was causing trouble in a future lesson. And the other was a simple concept in arithmetic that the student hadn't learned well, that again was causing trouble in algebra and actually had nothing to do with algebra. And I was able to diagnose the causes of the student's problem, show the student where the information was, and remedy them. And it's that simple. I told the student, algebra is not hard. Algebra is not hard, and the problems students have in algebra are not caused by algebra. They're caused by bad teaching and by the neglect of the early lessons in arithmetic and in algebra. Simple problems that students imagine are complicated because they start to have trouble when the lessons get more complicated, and they assume then that this new lesson is causing confusion, and they'll say things like, I just don't understand this chapter, I don't understand this lesson. And that's actually not true. What the student doesn't understand is actually something much simpler that can easily be understood, but that problem has to be diagnosed and treated, not allowed to remain there undetected, causing all kinds of trouble. And that's the work of a tutor. Many students are struggling because their parents cannot provide them with the help that I can provide them with in tutoring, and they need access to a tutor. And I'm making that access available to them at a ridiculously affordable rate relative to modern tutoring rates. I looked at the website tutor.com, which is just a secular tutoring business, and the average rates for tutoring are between $20 and $80 per hour. Now I can say that sounds ridiculous, but parents used to offer me $70 an hour to tutor their children when I taught in private schools. So I know that that's true, but it's not necessary. It's not necessary. The help that the kids need is not that complicated, and the way that the tutoring is provided needs to be financially sustainable. And that's true in live chat tutoring. If you'd like to arrange tutoring, you have two options for live chat tutoring. If you go to classicallibertalarts.com/catalog, you'll see the first category in the catalog is for tutoring services. And if you click on that tutoring link, you'll see that there is live chat tutoring and that there is also live video tutoring, which I'll talk about in a minute. But if you click on the live chat tutoring, you'll see there are two options. You can either schedule an individual tutoring session anytime you need it. Just remember that I need a 2-hour notice. But you can schedule a 1-hour tutoring session by live chat anytime you need it for just $10. That can be arranged right there. You can click on that link, click on the calendar, select the date, select the time, pay $10, and you're all set. Meet me on the Academy website for live chat. Unless I post a link to a different chat room, which I'm working on an option right now that I've used in the past, which may be where I meet with students, but there will be announcements about that on the website. But it's very simple to set up. The other option for live chat tutoring is that you can, instead of arranging a single tutoring session, which is fine, you can also choose to arrange a regular scheduled tutoring session on the same day at the same time every week. You can set up weekly tutoring meetings. And you'll see that option in the catalog there. The meetings are also discounted, so a monthly payment for weekly tutoring, averaging 4 weeks per month, would be $40 per month, but it's only $36 per month. So that even saves you a little bit of money by committing to weekly tutoring meetings. And for these tutoring meetings, you can schedule as many as you'd like. There's no limit. So if you would like to arrange tutoring for the kids, very easy. It's in your own control. You can do it at any time and have the kids working with me within 2 hours anytime they need help. And we're talking $10 a session. So that's all for live chat tutoring, which I think is the best method, most affordable method, and most effective method for almost all cases. I'm also making live video tutoring available, but it's only intended for certain cases. I'm not interested in having a parent with money pay me a bunch of money to sit online with a kid and babysit through a video chat meeting. I don't want the money. I'm interested in tutoring. I'm interested in helping the students. And a lot of the stuff that's done in the name of video tutoring is just babysitting, and I'm not interested in that. Video tutoring can be helpful in courses where, let's take a foreign language, Latin and Greek, where pronunciation is very important, and it's good to hear one another and see one another when we practice speaking the language. So for, let's say, a class like Latin reading or Latin grammar or Greek reading or Greek grammar, while video tutoring is not necessary, a parent may see a child struggling with pronunciation issues and things like that and want the child to have some help in that area. That's when video tutoring would make sense. Or if a child has some special need, video tutoring may be necessary. So video tutoring is available, but I only recommend it in certain cases. For most studies, for most needs, it's simply not necessary because it's not effective. It's not effective unless speaking is really an important part of the study. The same arrangements exist for video tutoring. You can arrange a single meeting anytime you desire, or you can arrange regular weekly tutoring sessions. So both live chat tutoring and video tutoring are available anytime you want them for very affordable fees. For video tutoring, I'm only charging $25 a session. And remember, I explained that the obstacle for me with video tutoring is that when I have a video meeting with the student, it's all that I can do for that hour. And that's what makes it costly on my side. I'm not charging a full tutoring rate for video tutoring because I'm able to conduct these tutoring sessions from my own home office, and I don't see a need to charge a full tutoring price where I would if I had to actually travel somewhere to meet with a student in his home or somewhere else. So it's basically half the price of what my tutoring services would be locally, because we can do it from our own homes and it's convenient for us. So $10 an hour for a live chat tutoring session, $25 for a video tutoring session, and all of that's accessible through the Academy catalog, classicalliberalarts.com/catalog. So to wrap this up, to summarize what I've said, there's going to be a free evening study chat room that all students are welcome to participate in. I'll be there. I'll be moderating it. There will be no fooling around. That'll be available for students every evening to encourage and support them in evening studies. They can ask any questions. We can discuss issues. The kids can discuss things as groups. As I said, I'll be there in the chat room. It'll all be moderated. Anyone fooling around will just be removed from the chat room. No nonsense. And I believe that can be a helpful resource for many students, and it costs nothing. Simple text chat room for evening studies. And I'll engage the students there a bit and introduce some helpful activities and exercises that they might be interested in participating in those evening chat room meetings. And if it gets serious and there's regular attendance and good participation, maybe we will turn the cameras on once in a while, have a disputation or a live discussion, things like that. But mostly, especially as we get started, we'll just be content with live chat for that evening chat room. Then I said that there's live chat one-on-one tutoring available, which I believe is the most effective and sustainable means of tutoring students, providing them with the help that they need so that they can make good progress in their studies and actually get through the material in a way that's productive. And then for special cases, video chat is available. The platform that I use is Adobe Connect. I've always used Adobe Connect. I've experimented with others, but nothing compares, at least for my method of teaching and my standards of work with the students. Adobe Connect is the best in my opinion, so there will be a link that I'll share on the website or that you'll get when you sign up for tutoring that links you to my chat room on Adobe Connect. Other than that, I think things are simple. No special equipment is needed. That Adobe Connect chat room can be accessed by any device, including Chromebooks, which I recommend for kids. Nothing special is needed. Very easy to use. You simply go to the link I provide. You'll be asked to enter your name, and that's it. Once the student enters his name, he's in. It's very simple. There's no accounts needed, no sign-ins, none of that junk. And then I have the option in that chat room to use a number of different tools. I can share documents. I can chat with the students by text chat. It can be used as a video meeting room. We can just talk audibly by audio without video. I can share a whiteboard with the student if I need to demonstrate something or work through something with a student. Lots of tools at my disposal in the Adobe Connect chat room. And again, I'll share links and things like that when you need them. But what I want to emphasize is that the kids need help with their studies. Don't be distracted by all of this talk today about socialization, the need for friends, all of these things. One of the reasons that kids worry about these things is because they're not achieving anything. They have low self-esteem because they're not doing anything. And they feel like if they had some friends, they would have something to do. The problem is not that they don't have friends or that they don't have social activity. The problem is they're not achieving anything. They're not being challenged. They're not working. They're not studying. They're not learning. They're not growing. They're not proud of what they're doing. They're not excited about what they're doing. And if you can't provide that kind of motivation for your children at home, and you find your children are unhappy, bored, frustrated, stuck in a rut, and so on, you have to get help. You don't need to go after fads and social activities and just try to fill the schedule with junk because the kid is depressed or bored. The kid needs help with real achievement, real Christian learning. And I encourage parents to give the kids a chance by allowing them to have access to tutoring. Allow them to make progress. Give them a chance to learn some of the things that they walk around saying they're not good at because they simply don't have help with them. Give them the chance to learn these things, and you'll see them change. I've actually seen it this year with one of my children. My daughter Mary was going through a funk for a year or so over the past couple of years, and this year her studies really began to pick up. She started to make progress. She started to become more confident because she's maturing. And that just sort of created a snowball effect that's gotten greater and greater as this last year has gone on. And she's very zealous, very happy, engaged with her studies. She just needed some confidence from some success, from some help to get going. And when the kids are in their early teens, life is overwhelming for them. And they need help. They need someone to answer questions when they have questions. They need someone to help them through difficult concepts when they struggle. They feel overwhelmed by the pressure and the prospect of making decisions about their future life. And we need to make sure that they do know what needs to be studied and that they do have confidence looking forward, and that they don't fall into a despair or depression or be filled with anxiety and start making bad choices, pulling back, shrinking back from the challenges they face as they approach young adulthood, but rather looking forward to them and being excited about the challenges that they face. So I encourage parents, if you can't provide your children with the academic help that they need in specific courses, specific lessons, or in academic skills that maybe you are weak in and the kids need help with, please consider tutoring. It really can make a difference. I'm going to make it as affordable as possible. I'm not going to bug anyone about money. If I see the kids need help, I'm just going to keep helping them. But give tutoring a chance. And don't let the kids fall into this sluggishness that we see so often among homeschool students, where they're just stuck with minimum requirements, boring K-12 studies, and not able to engage with the challenging studies, which can actually get students excited and engaged with Catholic learning. We've got to get them to that point. Because if we can get them to that point, then the motivation comes from the studies themselves, not from external, artificial motivations. Let's work together as parents and tutor to get the kids over this hump into real Catholic studies, into a place where they can thrive, because you know that's what you homeschooled for, and it is possible, but you probably need help. And I'm available 24 hours a day, every day of the week, to provide that help. So let's work together and help these kids. I hope that's a helpful overview of what's available. Evening study chat room for free, live chat tutoring for $10, and live video tutoring, if necessary, for $25 are all available now in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, where access to the courses themselves are free. So I can't imagine how I can make this more affordable for families and more accessible to students, not just the content, but also the expert help that they need to make progress in that content. So let's work together and help the children to make progress, take pride in their studies, and really engage with their studies so that they look forward to the challenges in their lives with excitement, eager for them, rather than overwhelmed by them and anxious about them. If you have questions about how to make the best use of these services, just get in touch with me. I'd be happy to talk to you and help you to figure out how to maybe use money that you have available in the most efficient way possible, how to decide what's appropriate for different children. If you have questions like that and would just like to get into the details, just get in touch, because at the very worst, we can just get them started for free and just see how things go, and you can make long-term decisions based on how you see the kids respond to different opportunities. So I'm never going to fuss or give anyone a hard time about money. I want to see the kids thrive. I want to see the classical Catholic curriculum restored, because I think that if we can achieve that, everything else is going to take care of itself. And it's just a matter of us putting in the work and time to make that happen. I hope that's a helpful overview of what's going on. I apologize for these audio messages, but I have so much desk work to do day by day, and I spend hours and hours typing. I get to the point where I just physically can't work at the desk anymore, can't keep typing. And it's nice for me to be able to just grab my phone, stick a set of headphones in, go for a walk, get some fresh air, and talk rather than type. So by listening to these talks, you're helping me to get away from the desk for a few minutes, get some fresh air, and still communicate important topics and announcements in the Academy. So thank you for listening. I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions, please get in touch. God bless.